Hello, infinite, eternal, joyful consciousness. Thanks so much for dropping by this video. So, I've had quite the dance with non duality. I think I was first exposed to it in 1999. And I've really struggled with it over the years, struggled with the ideas of the unreality of the world, which now I've come to realize that's not actually an accurate expression of non duality. Struggled with the idea of not seeking happiness in the world, um, the idea of not taking action, which is again, which that is actually not authentic non-duality. Um, so it's been this kind of push-pull between, the love of the bliss of my being, which I experience very deeply almost every day, and all these different desires and sort of a war. And and part of what's gone on is also, I have studied so many different and practiced so many different spiritual paths, and there was just there's a lot. The beauty of studying different spiritual paths is there's a lot of places where there's overlap, where one path supports another, where you can find the same truth expressed in a different way. And there's a lot of that not happening. And it can be very confusing to hold multiple contradictory beliefs. So there's kind of been this very long sorting out process. Um, so has it really been 21 years? I think it's more like 22 because that would have been 1999. Anyway, 21 or 22 years later, um, kind of my bottom line on non-duality, or what came to me last night was just sitting just frustrated, so much suffering going on. And I was looking at this very interesting chart, and it had Gnostic, agnostic, theist, atheist. It was kind of this like chart of these two opposites. Gnostic means someone who directly knows something or is certain, has certain knowledge, and an agnostic, someone who doesn't have certain knowledge. Theism, the belief in a kind of higher power or God. Atheism, um, no belief in a higher power. It's a very fascinating chart. I think maybe I'll yeah. Anyway, you can look up on the look at it, find it on the internet somewhere. Um, and I just sat looking at it, especially that word Gnostic, someone who knows something for sure. And I'm like, okay, I've been not just non-duality. I've been studying all these different paths and then that I just started with non-duality in '99. I started with spiritual stuff in 1990. I'm like, okay, you've studied all this stuff and you've practiced a lot of it, and you've had a lot of profound spiritual experiences, a lot of awakenings. What do you actually know? And that question just stopped me in my tracks. What do I actually know for a fact? And as my mind stopped, I realized that there's only one thing that I knew, and that was that there is this presence that's all around me, that's in me, that, according to non duality, it is me, um, and that presence is always available. I've verified that so many times through the practice of self inquiry, through the practice of reflecting, that this presence is always with us. That there's always a witness, no matter what I'm experiencing. There's always something witnessing it. And that witness, that witnessing, is always free. And not only is it free, but in a very special way, it's joyful. Not necessarily in a, have to be very careful with words. Not in necessarily an explosive kind of joy, but in I heard it once explained that Ananda is a combination and it's described, this joy is described in a Sanskrit word, Ananda. And I once had it explained to me, and I think it was the best explanation I ever heard, that it's this combination of love, happiness, and joy. Is that right? No. Love, joy, and peace. That's what Ananda is. This kind of melting of those three very wonderful kinds of happiness to where they're kind of indistinguishable. Maybe one seems a little more pronounced. And so I realized that this presence, that's the only thing I really know for sure is this presence. And the other thing um, is that I want never-ending happiness. Part of what had led to so much suffering was one more failed relationship, one more spiritual relationship where I was a tantric relationship where I was looking for enlightenment through relationship, and that never goes well for me. I'm sure 1 out of 100,000 people who attempt it goes well for, but the rest of us, it just messes with us over and over. Um, and this one just tore my heart to pieces. This one really tore my heart to pieces because the love and the union was so extreme and so intense, life changing, really, but not life, but not enlightening. It didn't lead me to enlightenment. So um, I was like, I just want happiness. I just want nonstop happiness. I just want nonstop peace. And then it all just fell into place that Advaita Vedanta is, it's theoretical till it isn't. Advaita Vedanta says you are peace, you are happiness. And here's a way to find out if that's true. And sadly, as I've shared so many times on this channel, it's Advaita Vedanta and non-duality is just taught so horrifically and so wrongly that it's really not even non-duality or Advaita Vedanta. And that's another story. What's taught wrongly is the process of coming to live in that knowing and abide by it. The theoretical part of you are the self and your true nature is just consciousness. That's generally taught right. Generally. And when I say right, what I mean is in alignment with the three pillars of Advaita Vedanta, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, and the teachings of Adi Shankara. If something isn't in alignment with those three things, it's not non-duality. It is not Advaita Vedanta. End of story. It's its own thing, and that's okay. People make up shit all the time. That's fine. Sorry, I didn't need to say shit, but people make up stuff all the time. That's great. You want to make up your own spiritual path? Great, but it's not Advaita Vedanta. It's not non-duality if it doesn't align with those things. So yeah, I just realized that, hey, I want happiness always. I just want peace always. And Advaita points out that, it's not possible to have that through seeking things in the world. That doesn't mean you're going to just be a monk or nun and sit and do nothing. But it does, Advaita Vedanta is a path of having a monk or nun-like mentality, of renunciation, of non-attachment, of not seeking happiness through objects. So that's what I'm up to, friends, and you'll be seeing more sharings about that here on this channel. And questions, comments, feedback, suggestions, welcome. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you so much. Take care. Much love.